Let's podcast alongside Joe Giglio. I'm Joe Ovies. Did I miss the memo, Joe? Were we supposed to go to the recording space before the recording space in downtown Raleigh was even finished? Like, what are we doing here?
You know, after last week's, or was it earlier this week? My days are getting confused. I had some Wi-Fi issues.
You did,
and I figured the best way around a Wi-Fi issue was to go somewhere where I knew we had a hardline Ethernet connection, which is here, Eford Studios, downtown on Fayetteville Street.
Yeah,
our friends at Empire Properties. So yeah, sometimes you got to crack a few eggs and make sure the AC works too, because you don't want to be sweating in here with me.
Well, you wear a hoodie. You wear a hoodie all the time. Have you thought about maybe wearing a tank top in there? It is June. It is June. You can take the hoodie off.
Hey, listen, when I left the house this morning, it was kind of cold. So okay. I'm okay with this. I'm okay with all of it.
So that's Dave back there?
Yeah,
Dave, charge of all that stuff?
Thank you, Dave.
All right.
Did Dave fix the thermostat?
Well, apparently, in the year of our Lord 2023, there are issues with people who probably crank it way too low.
Yeah,
those type of things.
Yeah. Because they wear hoodies inside all the time.
Okay, well, don't blame me. I'm okay with a little bit of a schwitz. It doesn't bother me. You were the one who was here last week and was like, it's really hot in here, and I'm like, okay,
all jokes aside, when it was you, me, and Ethan in that room, and I was busy connecting things and trying to get an idea of where everything was, and I started to I'm not that much of a sweater, like shout out to Eshbal. Eshbal will sweat for not just drinking water. He'll sweat.
Yeah,
it's insane.
He's Gary Williams.
He really is. And again, look, everybody's body is different. I'm not saying I don't sweat. I'm just simply saying that when I know I'm inside and I'm working up a sweat, it gets a little stuffy. Anyway, look, folks, when we started this thing and we told you that we were going to be completely transparent about everything, I was not kidding. That includes saying, hey, man, we got to get recording. And while Dave's working on that, we just got to go with it. And I thought it was great to have Dave's legs in the background as he was working on the thermostat. Plus, and we started the show.
And also, I'm getting ready to go see you. And, sometimes we wonder, who was it? Steve Forbes said, my guy, Joe. And kind of gets us into a conundrum, who the real Joe is. Well, I think we have the answer. Our keys and our fob to get in this building. Okay. Yeah. You ready for yours?
Okay.
Can you see it?
This is Joe Ovies. Yeah.
Yeah.
It says my name on there. I see that.
That's you.
Yeah. Oh boy.
I gotta pick up my ego a little bit here. Sorry. Not even the courtesy Joe. It's like, yeah, we know the radio guy. We know the real star. We know that guy.
But wait a minute. Wait, hold up. You're Hayden's guy. Okay.
I'm just saying.
You are the owner's guy. Like, come on now. It just means anyway. That's funny. That's funny. Not as funny as some of the stuff coming out of SEC meetings. Not SEC media days. The SEC media days aren't until July, but I feel like we got a kickstart to this based on what they do in Destin. We got it. There's a couple different things to look at. There's the scheduling conversation, which we talked about earlier in the week, and just the way the SEC goes about it, right? The SEC basically acts as though what they do really does move the needle for all of college football. When they decide they're going to do something, they are the leaders in the space and everybody's going to follow suit. On one hand, it's eye-roll inducing, the way Greg Sankey, commissioner of the SEC, talks about their conference. But on the other hand, with the results and the way college football tends to follow the leader, what can I say? It's really I'm kind of defeated, and I just go, yeah, man, scoreboard. You guys keep winning everything, and we're seeing this with the college, the baseball tournament as well. The SEC's paying coaches crazy amounts of money. They're hosting all the regionals. Even when they have concerts in Kentucky and they don't have enough hotel rooms, and Campbell had all the space in the world at a minor league ballpark in Fayetteville, didn't matter because the SEC is just running everything right now. And all I can do is just be like, yeah, well, fine. I can rage against the machine, but the machine's going to win here because the SEC is the machine.
Yeah, I was going to say to you, spot the lie here. What
Right. I know. Look, like I said, all I can do is just throw my hands up because I can, I'm like old man yelling at cloud when it comes to how the SEC just runs everything. But what am I going to do? Right. They are.
Well, and also I love they've walked themselves into a rare corner here by not allowing the expanded conference schedule to be a price point. And now you hear, allegedly from Kentucky, well, if it's just about money, that's not something that we should be doing. And it's like, okay, all right, guys, I can't handle any of this stuff.
Sure.
Because to your point, and yes, there are exceptions to the rule. I'm looking at you, Texas football. I'm looking at you, Ohio State basketball, for example. But, for the most part, he who has the most money is the one who wins.
Yes.
And in the SEC right now, they have the most money. They're pouring the most resources into the sports that they care about, which are football, men's basketball, women's basketball, baseball. Those are the sports they care about. Now, look who's winning those sports. Look who's winning the national championships in those sports. It's not a coincidence. So as long as they're going to run things and be super successful at them, well, we're going to have to play a little bit by their rules.
So to your point about we got to play by the rules, and to my point that I can sit here and roll my eyes and just, I want to roast the SEC, but spot the lie. Here's Greg Sankey, commissioner of the SEC, on with Paul Feinbaum. And he was asked a question about 9 games or 8. There's a lot of teams that want to stay at 8. They feel like it's already difficult enough in the SEC, and they don't want to add more losses when they don't have to. And Feinbaum asked him a question about, like, well, do you feel like if you stick at 8 games that it's going to hinder you in the college football playoff selection committee? And Greg Sankey had a classic scoreboard response.
If it ends up being 8 and we move to 12 in the CFP next year, whether that will be held against the league, even if it's in a short-term situation.
Well, I think we ended that football season with a 65-7 win in the national championship game. And if the indictment somehow is going to be that we don't play the highest level of college football, then somebody's not actually watching football games. And we're at 8, but we have a requirement that you play an additional game against a non-conference opponent from one of our colleague conferences, or major independent. The major independent numbers are changing right now. The 8 format arguably has worked really well as the helicopter goes by. The 9 format can work really well. So I think pundits, coaches, analytics people can make a bunch of different arguments, but I actually think either one of those models will keep us very secure in the college football playoff considerations.
So there you go. There's Commissioner Greg Sankey on with Paul Feinbaum this week from those SEC meetings, Joe. And I can't argue with anything that he's said. They continue to win, and in the biggest moments, like the college football playoff, they win those games too. So if it ain't broke, you don't have to fix it. The only thing that you would be doing for 9 games is more rivalry games, more inventory for ESPN, and more money. And if there's one thing we also know about Greg Sankey, they love to point to the scoreboard, not just on the football field or the college baseball diamond or the basketball with what they're paying their coaches. They also want to show you they're the richest, and that's what they're in competition with the Big Ten. And I can see where 9 games, if they can get ESPN to dole out some more cash, they will absolutely do it. That's where the game of chicken is right now. They don't know what ESPN is going to be comfortable paying on top of what they're already paying now.
Well, think of it this way: ESPN just made a contract with them and gave them a significant raise, basically, right? And now the new part, and they're a relatively new partner, exclusive partner, because before, remember, it was only 1 game a week on CBS, but it was the best game every week on CBS. They had the first choice.
Yes.
So I think you have a new relatively new exclusive, let's call it a new exclusive relationship.
Sure.
They were dating, and now they're engaged on their way to being married. And the first compromise that you're asked to make is, well, I want more. Hey babe, I load the dishwasher and I fold the laundry. Okay, well, now I need you to clean the toilets too. And you're like, well, wait a second, that wasn't part of the deal.
Yeah.
Right. And then now all of a sudden, well, how do I add some of these tasks without a reward? right? So the SEC is, and let's be clear here, because I think Greg Sank actually misspoke. The goal for the SEC isn't to win the national championship. They're already winning the national championship. And regardless of the format, they're going to win the national championship 80% of the time, let's say. Okay? The goal for the SEC is keeping some of these other schools happy. South Carolina, Missouri, Arkansas. And you might roll your eyes at that, but they're the ones who are protesting right now because they're the ones who are on the fringe of needing a 6th win to qualify for a bowl game. They're the ones who are basically like, here, you're making me eat a shit sandwich and you're not going to give me any barbecue sauce to put on it when I've already paid for the sandwich. I'm already happily finishing 5th and 6th and 7th and 8th and 9th and 10th place. I have no problem with that because you're paying me to finish in those spaces. But if you want me to add more losses, you're going to have to pay me more. That's what they need to look at. Georgia's going to be fine. Alabama, even when Saban's gone, I'll go out on a limb and say Dabo gets there and they'll be fine. But ultimately, this isn't about the tippy top of the conference.
Yeah.
This is about those teams at the middle and the bottom of the conference. As we love to say about Vanderbilt, who the heck knows what you really do? But the truth of the matter is, as long as they're giving them a seat at the table and giving them a cut of the money, well, then they have a right. They have a right to express what they think is fair and not fair.
Yeah.
And playing an 8-game schedule to them seems fair.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to prostitute yourself and add the 9th game, I think that's ultimately where this ends up.
Yes.
But I don't blame the SEC for saying, well, that's not in our contract. Because at some point, the rules are the rules, Joe. And if you put them in a contract, well, then you got to follow those rules.
Well, to your point about Nick Saban, that's another aspect of these SEC meetings that I find reductive. And we're going to go through this again in July when we go to ACC kickoff and people start bringing up gambling. Because by that point, here in North Carolina, the gambling bill should go through. So coaches are obviously going to have something to say about that. They're going to get asked questions about that. And they're going to get questions about name, image, and likeness and what's happening with the NCAA and Congress and guardrails and everything else. As Matt Brown, our friend from the Extra Points newsletter, pointed out this week, I'm getting tired of these conversations. And these conversations have been happening for 100 years. He points out that the whole name, image, and likeness thing dates back to the early days of college sports where people were up in arms over athletes promoting beer back in the day or tobacco back in the day. It's not like athletes haven't had deals before and everybody freaks out about it. The names have changed. The amount of money has changed. Technology has changed. But the basic arguments that college sports continues to lose, and that is what student athletes are bringing to the table and the money that comes with it, it's always going to go in that direction.
Are you recording on the reggae horn today or no?
No, I'm not.
No.
Do I need to do a reggae air horn when I say student athletes?
Yeah, bong yourself there.
Please. Yeah, you know what? You're right. When we get into the space, I'll have student athlete swear jar. Like I got to put $1 into it.
It's probably not going to be a great idea to give me access to the reggae horn and the other.
No, that's going to stay on my side of the table. It's going to stay on my side. But anyway, to back to Nick Saban though, he's sitting here talking about, we might as well just become the NFL. We might as well just unionize and all these other things.
And
right, and it's like he's saying like it's this bad thing, and I'm sitting going, yeah, okay, cool.
Yes, you should.
Yeah, you should. Or like it's like Eli Drinkwitz, right? The old offensive coordinator at NC State, Eli Drinkwitz. He's a real one, and I'm being genuine about that. Eli sometimes gets a little too caught up in it, right? And he was asked a question about gambling and where things are headed, and he decided to bring it back to name, image, and likeness. And he said, "Yeah, my brother's a pediatrician, and I got players who are making more money than my brother, who's a pediatrician, and he saves lives." Well, you know who else makes more money than your brother? You do, Eli. Are you saving lives? Now, I'm sure there are some SEC people out there that would say, well, absolutely. By God, he is saving lives. He's playing SEC football. That's what I need in my life. Cool. But like, you can't sit here and be all up in arms about the fact that, oh my goodness, my brother is not making as much as a player. Yes, so are you. And you coach a football team, man. And not very well either. All right. Because it's not like they're happy with Eli Drinkwitz at Missouri right now. But he had to go on Feinbaum because this thing had blown up on social media. He was claiming that he was taken out of context and everything else. So here's Eli with Feinbaum trying to explain things.
I think yesterday was a little bit of a disingenuous approach to media, to be quite honest. I don't think my quote that made the rounds on media was taken in any type of context at all. I was referring to the fact that I love the fact that our players make NIL, and I think that's awesome. I've been one of the leaders in the forefront of that. I mean, our state law is one of the most progressive state laws out there that I'm fighting for our players to have the ability to earn finances off of their name, image, and likeness. What I want everybody to understand is that there's unintended consequences with giving 18 to 22-year-olds a large sum of money, and I think that's what there needs to be an understanding of. Is we're not talking about players making $10,000 or $12,000 a year. We're talking about guys that are making 6 figures, 7 figures, which is awesome. But with that much money comes a different set of responsibilities. And if we're not careful, we're going to look back in 4 and 5 years, and we're going to be just like the NFL and the NBA, where 78% of those professional athletes, after 5 years removed from playing in the NFL or NBA, are bankrupt.
Okay, where do you want to start with that? Where do you want to start with that?
According to the Googles, Eli Drinkwitz has a contract that gives him 6 times 5, so $32 million over the next 5 years, $33 million over the next 5 years, which I don't know. How much of that do you think he owes to Ryan Finley? Serious.
Probably a good percentage of that. Yeah.
Right?
And 1 year at App State. So there is that one season at App State that helped catapult him a little bit. Because remember, they went to Chapel Hill and they won and all that stuff.
So just backtracking, if he doesn't come to Boise from Boise and bring Ryan Finley with him and have the success at NC State that they did, he doesn't get the App State job. The App State job, remember, was a Scott Satterfield special. I'm not suggesting that a replacement level coach could have won double-digit games with that team. But
what you're saying is something I agree with. Satterfield had that program poised. Okay,
sure.
Poised.
And he won games that he needed to win. He beat Carolina, he beat South Carolina, and he got himself an SEC job. Totally get that part. But it is disingenuous to sit here and act like the players who are earning your salary and are putting you in a position for generational wealth for you and your family, to sit here and say that they don't deserve any kind of cut of it because they won't be able to handle it. Yeah. And I'm not going to go full Vietnam draft war here on you. If you can, be drafted and go to war and die for your country at 18, you could probably go make money for your school. But I do think there is something to, I got a kid who's 18, just turned 18 in April, is getting ready to go to school. And there's that could be scary as hell. Sending them off to college and letting them go live on their own. But they have to go make their choices. They have to go live their life. That's what you've spent the last 18 years preparing them for. And I can't sit here and micromanage him the rest of his life. He's a grown-ass adult, right? He has to learn how to make decisions. He's going to fail at some things. But guess what? We all did. We learned from them. Look, and while it is noble to think about the NFL players who go bankrupt, and there's certainly an education, there are a lot of people who go bankrupt at all levels of income. Okay.
But this gets to my central point. We'll close on this. Last time I checked, college coaches position themselves as somebody who does more than just X's and O's, right? You go to college, you basically go to houses, you talk to parents, and you tell them, you can trust your kid with me. I'm going to help them they're going to become a man under me. Okay. Well, this is all part of it. And you can't sit here and hand-wring over the amount of money they might be making because they might do XYZ. There's a lot of might XYZ in all facets of life. And it's all just disingenuous. And it gets back to Matt Brown's point. We keep having the same conversation every single year, and you keep making the same points as though they're novel points. And every single step of the way, you come to find out that everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. The SEC's in a power position with all this stuff going on, and that's not going to change. The Blue Bloods are still going to get the top level recruits because there's an investment level that takes place at those schools to keep the top talent coming in. Now, the money and where it goes might shift. It might not show up in a smoothie bar or a slide or a bowling alley, and it goes directly to the players. But what's the ultimate game here? To have a good football team, right? Well, that's going to continue. It's not going to change in any way, shape, or form. And that's what I always say about Nick Saban in the long run. Every time Nick Saban talks on these matters, he's not talking about himself. He's not talking about other schools. He's talking directly to his boosters, like he did last summer when he got into it with Jimbo Fisher. He's talking directly to his boosters saying, if you want this train to keep rolling, this is the requirement. I don't really think that's I wish they'd be more upfront about it, but here we are.
Housekeeping.
I got the Bad for Ratings shirt on today, Joe. You can buy yours at breakingtea.com/OG. We're on Instagram as well. Check out OG Triangle Media on Instagram. And did you golf yesterday? Did you just change the table too?
I did. I'm trying to make it look better. It's a work in progress.
Folks, if you're listening on the podcast, you're truly missing out on some gems on YouTube. Truly missing out on some gems on YouTube, which we are approaching 4,000 subscribers on YouTube. We appreciate everybody who's followed so far. And once we get to 4,000 subscribers, you and I will drink some Brass Monkey on that ice.
Oof.
Yeah? No?
Oof.
Fair enough. You want to go out to Wilmington and go drink that on the beach?
Definitely.
Do that?
I would prefer that, yes.
Okay. Maybe
we be able to jump into the Atlantic.
We can holler at Jim Roberts. Be like, hey, maybe there's some sort of, what's the exit? We've exited on 4,000 subscribers. Here's how we celebrate. Now, all jokes aside, Wilmington actually is one of, if not the hottest spots for startups. The entrepreneurial network that you have access to with New, and you can check them out at newilm.com, really opens up some doors. And again, there's a lot of success stories that come out of Wilmington.
Yeah, you can find Jim on LinkedIn or Facebook. And again, it's an independent nonprofit group. They help entrepreneurs with sales, marketing, mentor options, investment pitch training, you name it, they do it. Network for entrepreneurs in Wilmington, where the river of innovation meets an ocean of possibilities.
You know where we're going after this show?
I know where we're going. I'm excited because I feel like I'm going to get a chance to say, you're right, Joe.
Oh, because of the strip versus the ribeye
debate. Yeah.
Okay, we'll see how that goes. We'll see how that goes. You know what though? It doesn't matter. Your favorite cut of meat is your personal choice. If you like ribeye, Butcher's Market's got that. If you like strip like I do, they got that too. I'm a big fan of their steak tips as well. They have all that stuff. And if you want to be specific, they can handle that as well. It is a Butcher's Market. I remember I went in not that long ago to get some pork for some Cuban style pork, and I needed like a bone-in shoulder. And yeah, they took care of it. They went to the back, cut it, and I was good to go. That's the Butcher's Market for you.
Yeah, thebutchersmarkets.com. They got 6 locations: Raleigh, Cary, Wake Forest, Holly Springs, and of course, Wilmington, where we are huge for all of your grilling needs. Next weekend is Father's Day. Go get yourself the signature steak tips. You will not be disappointed.
Move on.
Joe, we talked to Rod Brind'Amour yesterday. We went to the Canes exit meeting, and it was Don Waddell, general manager, president of the Canes, and Rod Brind'Amour just kind of getting general questions about where things are headed and what they got to do in the offseason. But Brind'Amour was kind enough to meet up with us after this conversation. And the reason why I bring up that press conference first is because there was an interaction between you, me, and Brind'Amour in terms of how he was responding to some of our questions versus how he was responding to some of the questions in that press conference. You all will enjoy what he has to say.
About a week since, and I agree with you, after the series ended, it wasn't a sweep. I mean, it's a sweep technically, but it didn't feel like a sweep. Now that you've had some time to process and go back and look at it, you feel stronger about that?
Yep. I mean, we went into that series knowing they're, in our mindset, okay, they got one of the highest offenses in the league. They score at a high rate. We got to shut that down. And if you take the overtime out, they were 20 shots a game. You said to me, we're going to play them 4 times to get 20 shots. I say we win all 4. Now the overtime in the first game, they got 40. So that's a whole game in itself. So that game wasn't as good. But and we still had a chance to win that game. Plenty of chances. So that's the hard part. You get swept, you think, okay, if you would have said we were going to get swept, I said, well, we gave up 40 shots a night, and that's not what happened. So that's where it's hard. And we create enough offense to score in every game. So I don't know what else we could have done. Yeah, can we have been better here and there? Of course. But we did what we came in to try to do in that series. It just their goalie was the difference.
Giglio and I have noticed in our years of talking to players and coaches that you remember the losses sometimes a little bit more than you do the wins, and I feel like this one hit a little bit different, especially in the way that you're talking about it now.
Totally, and that's why sometimes you take a step back and then you just gotta say, well, that was a hell of a year. Like probably the best year we've had, in my opinion, just what went on during the year, all the stuff that we were able to do. That obviously the Stadium Series game was kind of a capper, but I mean, the winning streaks, we just never really had a couple bad games, and then it was like, that was it. Like, we just kept going. So that was, that's going to be hard to replicate. It's the NHL. I mean, it's hard to do that. So we had a great year. Even the finish, I loved the way we played. We had one bad game in the playoffs, and it wasn't in that series. It was in a different series. So, like I said, again, the hard part, we're going to look back on this, or at least I will, and think, what if we had the right group, like meaning our group together, healthy? It's a different story. Now, that's part of it. You know, injuries are part of it. We've seen it every year, unfortunately. Last year Freddie was not in the games. You know, he wasn't in any of those games. And then the year before, if we forget, Troach and Niederreiter went out. And it's tough to win at that time of year when you're missing pieces. Nobody's playing right now if they have those kind of guys out. That's just the facts.
I'm not going to suggest that you like us better than the media at large, but you seem very perfunctory during the press conference itself. But now your eyes are alive here.
Well, you're asking me the right questions.
Okay.
I'll take that as a compliment.
These questions there's no answers to them. You guys already know the answers that they're asking. So, and it's a waste of everyone's time for me to just elaborate.
But your eyes are alive.
Yeah.
You're alive.
Yeah.
Can you square this is what I'm getting at. Because I know as a player, you feel like you're in control and you can handle the outcomes, right? Yeah. As a coach, you're such a process guy that I'm wondering if you're going to be able, or how long it'll take you to square this thing and what had happened.
It's over. It's over. Okay. And then you're already looking at, okay, like we're talking about, how do we move forward? Like, what's the next step? Well, next step is, who do you need to keep? Who do you try to, if there are guys to leave, who are they? You know what I mean? It's all about that to try to replicate or get to the next step. And that's the hard part. The hard part is you bring in players that, they got to take care of themselves, and that's the tricky part, is putting together the team.
Tom was super analytical with us. And is there some solace in the fact that if you did play that thing 1,000 times, maybe you win it 850 out of those 1,000?
We're like the polar opposites.
Okay.
And we both agree to disagree on that. But we try to find common ground. But we're not going to be around it in the 1,000th time that it hits, right?
Right.
All right, so this is my favorite game to play with you is Explain Like I'm 5, okay? The common refrain after the exit was the Canes have to get tougher. Yeah. They need a guy that's more of a past XYZ. The other team is doing the face wash, the extra stuff after the whistle. The Canes don't do that.
That's a good point. Here's the point on that. So we're told that that's going to be penalties, going to be called. So we make an effort to refrain from that because they're supposed to call it, but it's 5 years of it and they haven't.
Yeah,
so I would say,
in the playoffs that stuff goes out the window.
We were told too, same thing.
Okay.
Come to the bench and say you're not going to do it, and then that's frustrating. Then so if it's not going to be, then you have to readjust probably how you approach it, and we'll see how we move forward on that.
Okay. Yeah. No, I guess in another way, are your players capable of doing that? I guess that's the question.
It's phony toughness. There's no fighting. There's zero fighting. When was the last time you saw a fight in the playoffs? It's not about that. It's about trying to do it right and try to stick with the rules that you're being told to draw the penalty that you're supposed to have and take the punch to the face that you tell your players to do, because they're going to get it. Now we take advantage of it. If it's not going to be called, then you're going to have to do it too, which slows the game down and everything else. But that's what you have to do. That's what you have to do. Anybody's capable of doing that. That's easy. That's the phony toughness part is easy. Okay. When you actually have to back it up, that's when it gets a little tougher.
In the immortal words of Cat Barber, that's the rah-rah fake tough.
Yeah.
Don't give me any of this rah-rah fake stuff.
Just watch it. Nobody's fighting. Those guys are
smiling half the time.
They know that you're not going to take the extra step to drop a glove, because then guess who's going down like they've been shot, right? The guys that start all that. Well, we almost saw it in the playoffs where it happened behind the net with Brent Burns did a little, and the guy went down. The same guy that's absolutely doing it, just looking at the ref trying to sell calls. That's where this game has gotten to. that's a whole nother issue. Okay. The selling of stuff, like we're turning into soccer and some of this stuff, and we can't have that.
You said it. You want to be judged by the team you put together, how you coach them, how you lead them, right? But it does feel like this year in particular, you pick up patches for a specific reason to be a scorer and a difference maker in the playoffs. Obviously, Andre and the long-term deal that you guys, the commitment that you made to him, shows what you think of him. Is it hard now in year 5 to think that you really haven't had a square look at this thing with a healthy group for you to sit here and go, okay, well, judge me based on this, or is that too much of a?
No, you're hitting it around. You guys are on the right track of where this should have been, in my opinion, gone. Not, you guys lost in 4, you're no good. That's the narrative that was getting thrown out. This is more where it should be. And yeah, I mean, I'm with you on, man, I wish we could have had all these pieces together, but you can't dwell on that. I look at the positive that last summer we said we needed a need. We got to get goal scoring. They went out and got the best guy in the market. At the time, that was the best guy by far. Perfect. Well, it didn't work. Not because we didn't try, because now what are we going to, we'll have our meetings, it's okay, and we'll see. So I'm on the other side, but it's a positive thing because we are trying to address whatever it is that we feel we got to do to get over the hump. Okay. And we've pretty much done it every year. We've tried to add that piece, and it just hasn't hit in the playoffs because of really just unfortunate stuff.
We'll close on this. Jordan Staal is an unrestricted free agent. He doesn't want to go anywhere. He's part of that leadership group. What are your conversations? What are they like? What are they going to be like in that you have the older player and younger guys coming up who also might find themselves in leadership positions?
You don't know anything about this.
You don't know anything about this, Rod. So what kind of conversations do you have with Jordan about
that? We already had it. We've had him all year. Okay. I had him at the end of the year already with him. This is easy. Okay. You know, like he's not going anywhere. Is he going to have to bend a little? Are we going to have to bend? Someone has to do a little something there to just actually be done with it. Mm-hmm. But that's, he's our guy. He's still, for me, there's zero drop-off. He's been if there's anyone that just keeps playing the exact same way, just plowing through, it's him. Mm-hmm. And so that one's easy. So the other guys have sometimes tougher questions because they are at different spots in their careers. Sure. But he's made his money. This is his team. He's not going
He's
anywhere.
got other goals he wants to hit.
Yeah, and so there are different pressures on other guys, no doubt. And that's the hard part. They get agents involved who have no emotional attachment, and they know what they can get here. And then I've seen it happen time and again. It's happened every year. We've lost a player to the bigger money who calls us back 2 months later and goes, why did I do that? But it's this is the nature of the game right now. And I can't blame players for doing that because at the end, when it's all over, what do they have? They have what they put in their pocket to go on. So
he lied. We got one more question. Your work ethic is legendary. How many days off as a coach do you take?
I don't know what a day off really means anymore. Because even when I don't come into the rink, you're on your computer or you're on a phone. Yeah. So now it's become who are you calling? And then you're never really off. But that's actually how I like it. I feel like I can't. I like taking days away, but still being able to get something accomplished. So.
I understand there might be a Hazentree match with Sidney Lowe as well in the works.
Well, he's ducking me like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah, I heard you take strokes though. I heard you were taking strokes.
No, he's trying to get them, and I won't give them to him. And then he's starting to put in the age factors. We're getting old, but he's a little older than me. And let's get it straight. If you get ever talking to him, he's ducking me.
We have summer content. We'll make this work.
He told me. I said, all right.
There's zero chance he's beating me. Though. Zero.
That is so. Anyway, that's Rod Brind'Amour on the Easter Automotive Group hotline. I definitely want to get Rod Brind'Amour out there with Sidney Lowe. You think we can get Elliott Avent out there too? You think?
Yeah, pop him on there because you're confusing him right now.
Yeah, we are absolutely confusing Elliott Avent, head coach of NC State.
Elliott, can you hear us
on the Easter Automotive Group hotline? Can Coach hear us?
I don't know. Can you hear me now?
All right, tell you what. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to bring on Darren Vaught, ACC baseball, etc., while Elliott Avent is trying to figure out the technology aspect of this. Darren, what's going on, man? Surprise. We're going to try to talk to Elliott Avent here in a second because this is all live to tape podcasting right now.
Of course. Yeah. No, you guys know I love Elliott, so hopefully he gets that figured out.
Yes.
No, good to be on my favorite vigilante sports show.
I think Lebitard already calls his the pirate ship, so we're gonna have to find something else to do.
Yeah, vigilante's good, right? You can work with that.
I was gonna say taking names, kicking ass. It's what we're gonna do. Speaking of which, the SEC seems to be the one that's kicking ass. I guess we can start here before we talk to Elliott Avent as he's figuring out technology. That they're playing Campbell. Everybody's upset that Campbell is not hosting. They had a minor league ballpark in Fayetteville that they could have used. There's clearly, there's hotel rooms around. Instead, it goes to Kentucky, where there's a Tyler Childers show and other things going on, and there's no hotels, and they're going to charge teams $185 a night to stay in dorm rooms on the Kentucky campus. What am I get that the SEC runs things, but y'all, this doesn't make any sense, Darren.
Yeah, when it comes to the hosting bids, I am I
could talk.
I'm about as confused as you guys because look, I thought the ACC deserved another host with Boston College. Turns out North Carolina and UNCW have to go to Terre Haute, Indiana, the peak of civilization. And Indiana State had a great season. I'm not diminishing that. I mean, we had a regional in Statesboro last year because of Georgia Southern having such a good season. But it does seem like there's a little bit of SEC skew with certain things, and I don't always love that.
All right, can we try Elliott Avent again? NC State baseball coach, is Elliott Avent there? Can he hear us?
He could see us now.
He could see us. I don't know if he's got somebody working on tech. Maybe he's got one of his players working here. I don't know. We'll see. We'll go back to him. All right, sticking with Campbell, since we were talking about NC State. Yeah. This is a squad that has beaten some other some pretty good North Carolina teams. What they beat ECU, what they beat North Carolina. So this is not a slouch situation. This Campbell squad's pretty good.
Yeah, and it's a product of what's been building for several years now under their head coach Justin Hare. This team can score with anyone in the country, and I mean that, anyone. Like, put your Wake Forests up there, put your Virginias up there, put your LSUs up there. Campbell's gonna score runs. The only thing with them is, are they going to give up more than they score? It's a really, really interesting team that can hit 1 through 9. It's anecdotal, but I did one ESPN Plus game of Campbell's this season. In that game, their 9-hole batter went 3 for 3 with 2 home runs in his first 2 plate appearances. I mean, it's just that kind of lineup. They're that good. They're that good, and I think a lot of people sort of assumed that they were going to try to potentially put in a hosting bid for Bowie's Creek for Jim Perry Stadium, which, don't get me wrong, is a beautiful facility.
Yeah, but they don't have the seats.
It's
the
capacity.
Like 1,200. It's like 1,200 people.
Yeah, something like that. It's the capacity that was going to be the issue. So even despite they've gotten basically free renovations from when they hosted the Astros affiliate for that one summer. And they were the Bowie's Creek Astros for a year and a year only before shipping over to Fayetteville. The Houston Astros organization sort of helped them out and built some things up to where it's a really, really nice facility, but they were going to need to put the bid in at Segra Stadium in Fayetteville, and they did. I would have liked to have seen that, obviously, and it's just us being North Carolina homers. I don't have a particular reason that it should have been the case as opposed to Indiana State, but it would have been cool to see, it would have been a good nod to what Campbell has done.
The SEC and Darren Vaught, ACC Baseball, etc., is the podcast, while Giglio, if you're watching on our YouTube stream, is trying to I guess of all people that's being tech support, I'm really not confident that Joe is going to be the one that's going to be able to make this work, because I'm usually his tech support. So this whole thing, welcome, Darren. You're seeing this amateur hour unfold in real time, unlike the SEC, which is really just like professional baseball at this point. And I am starting to wonder if the nature of the college baseball tournament leading into the College World Series, they've won 4 out of the last 6 College World Series, right? And you look at who gets to host these things. You look at their facilities. You look at what coaches are making. I know Chris over at Daggone Box Scores had pointed out that I didn't realize this. There are SEC baseball coaches that are making more money than Major League Baseball coaches.
There are Major League Baseball coaches who have left Major League Baseball to become SEC coaches. Like that's a thing.
That is mind-boggling to me. That's mind-boggling to me. I feel like in basketball, because there's 5 on the court, you can end up with the FAUs, right? The surprises, butlers, those types of things. With football, there's so much talent that can be spread around. You can find yourself with some surprises in the course of the season. Baseball's different because of scholarships, because of facilities, something that Elliott Avent has to work through all the time. I just feel like this is going in a direction that if you're not a hardcore baseball observer, I feel like what's going on with the money infused in the sport, it's really, people talk about level playing fields, right? I feel like it's really not possible in baseball right now with the way things are going.
Yeah, you're not off in that observation. And I would say too, that now the money is making its way into the NIL space and even creating more of a disparity, right? I mean, we are in the ACC, we are hands down, heads and shoulders above the 3rd best college baseball conference in the country. Like no one's disputing that it's the SEC and then the ACC. And now you get instances where players are getting poached from ACC teams to SEC teams. And again, that's 1 and 2. That's what's happening between 1 and 2 in college baseball. Imagine being a Sun Belt team, Eastern Kentucky trying to be competitive.
All right, so I think we've witnessed a miracle where Joe Giglio has been tech support for somebody else. Usually I'm tech support for Joe. Giglio's out here being tech support for NC State head coach Elliott Avent. Coach, can you hear us now?
Yeah, I got that. They didn't teach me this, Joe, at Red Oak Elementary School. I skipped this class.
Come on, Coach. We all went to State, or at least 3 of us went to State, not Darren Vaught. Like I know there's a building you can go to on State's campus that I spent a good chunk of time from 1997 to 2001 when I first met you, by the way, when I was at WKNC. Come on, I know you got tech support there.
I'm not just a tech guy. I don't know where Joe's at on this ladder, but I'm at the bottom rung of tech. I can promise you that.
All right. Well, I'll let Joe and Darren Vaught take this over because I know they got questions for you.
All right. Elliott Avent in the NCAA tournament for the 20th time in 27 seasons with NC State, trying to get to the Super Regional for the 6th time, trying to get to that College World Series for the 3rd time. Have you had a moment here to reflect this week on some of these accomplishments and just kind of getting back into the bracket? I know it's got to be a tremendous relief for you.
No, not reflect on past years, but I've done a lot of reflection on this year. This has been a really, 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 I don't know what word you want to use. You can call it tough. You can call it trying. This has been a year when when you start with 21 new players, and I think y'all were just talking about the transfer portal when I hopped on. So 21 new players, a lot of that due to the transfer portal or some of that. And you're thinking as a coach, how do you bring these people together? And I believe in the true team concept. I think that's what separates college from professional sports. One of the things is you get that true, what they used to call the old college try, where everybody comes together and everybody tries to pull more for each other than they do for themselves. And society through the years keeps changing that, and society tries as much as they can to teach you about self instead of about, others. And through that, I think college sports has become much more difficult. Now it suits some people. Some people like to bring in people, just bring people in, let them play and see where it works out and get a lot of talent. But the way we've always done it at NC State is get people here, get them to pull for one another, play for one another, develop them, and you have a chance to have something special toward the end of the year. And that's what we've always tried to do. This year has been the most difficult that we've ever had. Now, with that is 21 new players. With that is what I'm talking about, the societal changes, through this affected college athletics. And then we didn't have a feel for a great part of the season. We started out the fall and we kind of rushed through fall practice. We have 45 days to get 28 practices in, and we just kind of flew through it so they could start renovating our field. And so we'd be ready when the season started. And so we missed that time after practice, those 28 days, when you get on the field and get a lot of individual work, skill work with players and get to know them and bring people together, get a relationship going with players. We missed a great deal of that. And then there were some complications with getting the field ready. So I actually didn't get the field ready till like right up the week of the season, right before we opened up. And so your preseason was kind of a blur. And there were times this year when I thought we could never get this team to this point. And so my reflection has been mostly on, I'm so proud of these guys for sticking with this thing. And toward the end of the year, you could see us coming together. Toward the end of the year, you could see us playing our best ball of the season. And you just were hoping it was good enough to get us to this point, because once you get over that threshold of postseason, it doesn't really matter what's beside your name, or 1 or 3 or 4 or what have you. It doesn't really matter. When you get to this point of the season, you feel like you have a chance to do some special things. And my reflection's only like, I'm so happy for this team, and I'm so happy for this program that we're at this point.
Elliott, I consider you an authority on being on the wrong end of an NCAA decision. So I'm curious on your opinion. Should Campbell be a host for this regional? Did they get the wrong end of the stick on this?
I don't have enough. You got to have, a lot of people can make opinions, and certainly I can have one, and maybe I'm more equipped to have an opinion because I've been in this business for a long time. But I know Campbell is certainly deserving of being a host with all the metrics that how they played, how they finished up. They won their tournament. RPI was in the top, 16. I don't know exactly what it was, but I kept up with us more. But I heard some stuff, and I think they were whatever they were in their RPI. So, yeah, they were certainly deserving. There's no question about it. And but I'm not the only one, Joe, that's been on the wrong end of NCAA decisions. They got a multitude of people.
I'm going to let Darren talk to you now, because Darren has put up with our circus here today, and he has questions, like actual baseball questions for you. And I know this isn't actually, it's really cool regional. I know it's not probably played in the spot it's supposed to be with South Carolina State, Campbell. I'm sure you've already seen your old friend Ray Tanner, so I'm sure there's been some reunion stuff there too. So I'm going to defer to Darren here.
Yeah, no. I appreciate you guys. Elliott, good to see you. It sounds like maybe were you sweating this bid a little bit? I know when we talked later in the year, it was kind of like, no, we're in, we're fine. But this sounds like maybe you were sweating it a little bit.
Well, disappointment, prior disappointment breeds paranoia. And, last year when we didn't get in, when all the experts, and I'm talking about real experts. I mean, I consider y'all experts at what y'all do. I think y'all are fabulous. Obviously I have a personal friendship with each one of you. But through that friendship, I've learned of y'all's knowledge of all sports. And I think you become, and I'm so tickled this podcast, Joe and I had a conversation probably a month ago or maybe more. And I'm just so happy this podcast is not only that I'm on it, but I'm really happy how it's thriving, and I'm hearing wonderful things, and it just makes me really happy. But, last year, all the experts, Kendall Rogers, Aaron Fitt, Baseball America, Teddy, everybody had us as a 2 seed. So as a 2 seed, all you think about is where we're going. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That's your only concern.
Yeah.
When we didn't get in last year, it was the biggest shock I've had since I've been in college sports, other than them sending us home from Omaha. That's the 2 biggest shocks that I've had. And I think they were both poor decisions. And, but I was on the end, and our team was on the end of those decisions. So, yes, this year, did I sweat? I watched probably 172 games since we got beat by Miami and we were out of that tournament. I just sat there. I'm not good at tech, but I'm good at ESPN3 and taking that clicker to whatever pitch and whatever inning and whatever game I want to get to. And it seems like whoever I pulled for lost. So I became my own curse and their curse, because whoever I was pulling for that supposedly were bubble with us, it just became a nightmare. Those last 3-4 days, Darren, were a nightmare for me. And I finally figured out how much my wife really, really loves me. For her to still be with me, and she not only sat there and saw it, she actually did a lot of it with me and sweated with me and felt with me. And it was just it was a tough 3 days. So when you hear your name called that Monday, it was the biggest elation for your team and relief that I can remember in a long time.
First time in your life you ever rooted for ECU, and look what it got you.
Yeah. I rooted hard too. You tell Cliff I rooted hard. I pulled hard.
Don't worry, I was cursing them for you, and you know James is going there, so I'm like adopting the Pirates now, my friend. But when they lost to Tulane, I'm like, damn it, did they just keep the Wolves out?
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
All right, Darren, I think we got time for one more. You got one more?
Yeah, I got one more. This is a little bit more general, Elliott. You talked about sort of the nature by which this team came together for you. In what ways would you say they've grown the most since day one till now?
Partly, I think anytime you go through some perseverance things, you grow as a team. So obviously, we persevered a lot this year with some disappointments, a lot of tough losses, a lot of close losses, a lot of losses unexplicably that we did things at an inopportune time that would cost you a game, things you couldn't believe. I know somebody I was pulling for, Northeastern, dropped a pop-up to Wilmington won that game. So I think through some adversity, there's a growth spurt there that can build some confidence. So I think that's how we've grown. And I think we've learned to pull for one another, accept that it's not all about me. And you finally come to grips with, I thought I was going to be the 3-hole hitter. I thought I was going to play center field. You know what I'm saying? I thought I was going to pitch every game. You know what I'm saying? Until, you accept or you may not accept your roles, but you learn how to deal with your role for the betterment of the team. I think that's the best way that we've grown and stuck together through it, because a lot of times through those things, you don't grow, you actually fall further apart. And I think that's been the most way I'd say. And then this game, every time you play this game, you get better. You get better, you get more comfortable, and you build some confidence through some things that you're capable of doing, and you understand what you have to do in certain situations. So I think that's how we've grown. But trust me, this has been as much fun being here. Like I said, this could have been the most trying season, certainly the one that I remember the most, but you tend to remember the things in recent memory. So, but this has been one of the more challenging teams to try to get to this point. And so with that, it might be also the most rewarding.
Elliott Avent, head coach, NC State. We appreciate the time. We'll let you get back to breakfast. Thanks for working through.
Well, I want to make sure y'all see this, especially Joe. This is special to all of us right here. You see Chris Combs.
Oh, yes.
Being here in South Carolina, you mentioned Ray Tanner. Jimmy Toman's liable to show up down here. I got a text from Sammy Esposito this morning. Clark Cox, who used to be our grounds crew, he's the head of the facilities here. And there's just so many people that have an NC State tie. So I thought wearing this shirt to breakfast was appropriate.
You also already have your first win of the weekend because you got the computer to work and join us. So, you're 1-0 in Columbia.
You're hot, right? It's easier on a computer than isn't that little phone I had. That's funny. My flip phone just wasn't working, Joe. My flip phone wasn't working.
Thanks, Coach. We appreciate it. Best of luck.
Hey, I'm so excited about the show, too. I think it's awesome. Seeing you three faces right here, all that y'all do for college sports in the Triangle. And like I said, I mean every word I said. Y'all's knowledge of all sports is in a sports, area, sports city, sports triangle is pretty cool. So it's good to see y'all. Y'all have a good day and a good weekend.
Thanks, Coach. We appreciate that. And Darren, bet you weren't expecting that today,
Darren,
right?
Darren, handle this thing on the fly, man.
This is what I'm trying to accomplish. Like my brother texted me yesterday. He's like, "Well, why did you leave? You can edit that out." I go, "That's what I miss about live radio, baby."
Right.
The spontaneity of it all.
We can have the best of both worlds. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
That's kind of my attitude. Anyway, Darren, we appreciate it, man. Have fun watching the games this weekend.
Of course, we'll do. See you guys.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks to the Heister Automotive Group hotline. The Heister Automotive Group is getting their bang for their buck today.
Absolutely.
Elliott Avent, that whole extravaganza, and obviously our conversation with Rod Brind'Amour. Goodness gracious, I'm gonna have to catch myself here.
Next topic, please.
Big shout out to Oak City Sports Cards. By the way, how much do you think a Rod Brind'Amour rookie card would be?
You can get a decent one that's autographed. I know that because Weston has one at Oak City Cards. Go check them out downtown Raleigh, right off of Glenwood there in the heart of Glenwood. Buy, sell, get your cards graded. If you have any idea or inkling of selling your cards and getting the best value for you, you have to get them graded. Weston can help you with that. It's oakcitycards.com. And yes, I know you saw it in the St. Louis Blues uniform. Rod Brind'Amour didn't even look like Rod Brind'Amour.
No,
but had a very sweet rookie card auto. So all kinds of collectibles down there: hockey, basketball, football, baseball. You Pokemon, Garbage Pail Kids. I think he had some American Idol packs in there too.
I saw those.
So if you're trying to find it, Weston's got it. oakcitycards.com.
Shout out to Breeze Through as well. Breeze Through throughout the triangle. Great coffee, good snacks, beer caves, growler machine outside PNC Arena, because we're already thinking about football, right? We're already thinking about football. So I know they do pretty good stuff for the tailgate season. Because look, let's be honest. When you're getting to the game, you're in a rush to get there as quickly as you possibly can. You might have forgotten something. Breeze Through's got it for you.
Always. And ice. That feels like the number one thing.
Ice is,
I don't know about you.
Key.
Plus, you get gas, and then all of a sudden you're like, I'm going to go to the beach. And you look in your cooler, and you're like, I don't want these warm bottles, and I don't want to stop every 2 miles either. Although at my age, maybe we got to pee. But if you have a cooler with the cold drinks, you're on your way to a good vacation.
Also, shout out to Mosquito Authority, Pest Authority. It is June. All right. It is. I know it's been cool. The temperatures have been kind of weird. It got into the 80s yesterday, but that unseasonably cool May is going to give way to a brutal summer, and mosquitoes are going to get active. You can handle that with Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority. But obviously, Joe, as you know, they do more than that because you've experienced it.
Yeah, way more than just bugs. You got termites under the house, which I realize is a bug, but you also have moisture, some mold and mildew issues. I got mice. I had mice in my attic. I don't have many more.
Yeah.
Because not only did they take care of the upstairs where the mice were, Joe, they took care of the downstairs where the mice were getting in under the house. So again, when I tell you they can take care of all of your needs, I am not lying. Go to bugsbite.com and check out Hayes Lancaster and his wonderful people with Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority.
All right, let's get to some Hey Joe questions brought to you by Oakwood Pizza Box. Give them a call. You can order online, 919-594-1605. I was the slacker last night. I did not ask for Hey Joe questions last night, so I did it this morning. So shout out to everybody who came through. Look at this. Golfers are golfing question, Joe, from Howard. U.S. Open in a couple of weeks. Who's your pick to win outside of Rahm and Scheffler?
Well, the hot pick right now is the homie Max Homa, who, like all of his PGA Tour wins, have come in the state of California. The Open is at Los Angeles Country Club. I think the other Cali golfers are now they're not long shots by any means, but Xander Schauffele, Patrick Cantlay, if they're ever going to win a major, you figure it's out in Cali and, of course, where the conditions suit their talents.
All right, from I Am the Goomy. Interesting name. What's the best golf shot you've ever made? I feel like you remember the ones you don't make, Joe.
Sure. Yeah. The one I would say the best one I ever made was the first tee. I was playing a scramble with Dabo Sweeney, and he had no idea who I was. And I was slightly hungover. We were in Pinehurst. It was at the ACC kickoff. And we actually teed off on a par 3, and I nearly hit a hole-in-one. And he turned to me, and he looked at me, and he was like, what did you say you do besides play golf? And I was like, oh, don't be fooled. I go, I am the world's greatest first-hole player. But, yes, very, very close. I've never had an ace. Never had an ace.
Never had one? Okay.
I've had like 4 or 5 this spring. Like even one 2 weeks ago where the hole right outside my parents' house where I thought I jarred it. And like sand popped up, and we were all like, oh, my God, I did it. Only to be disappointed.
I would say I gotta go way in the Wayback Machine, and it was at Cheviot Hills. Remember Cheviot Hills?
The hills of Cheviot.
Dude, Cheviot Hills to me was one of the best bangs for your buck golf courses that existed. Now it's all car dealerships and everything else. I mean, tour, I take my car and everything else. And I ended up like, I want to say it was like the second hole or third hole. It was early, and it was one of those aha moments of golf. This is why I will always remember it, where, you know, you're bad off the tee, you maybe have an errant shot, it's whatever. Not me. But I think it was like the second or third hole, I ended up having like the perfect sequence. Like, I hit it straight, didn't go far, but I hit it straight. My 9-wood, I hit that thing straight.
Your trusty 9-wood.
My trusty 9-wood, and I got that thing just outside the green. And then I pitched, and it went in, like off the flag. I was like, what? See, this isn't so hard.
What is this sorcery?
This isn't hard, right? You get it with rhythm, right? And it like fools you into thinking, oh yeah, if I just do this more often. No, it's the biggest mistake you can make playing golf. You think if you just do it more often, you'll get better. No, you'll just add to your own frustration. That's my golf story. All right. From Kevin, gonna phrase this one spoiler free, but where do you think Ted Lasso goes from here? I have not watched Ted Lasso since midway through the second season. I don't even think I got to the Christmas special, but I keep up with the pop culture stuff. My guess is they're probably going to have some sort of spinoff for Ted Lasso because the IP is too popular. That's what happens, Joe.
Yeah, I watched it last night, finished it up. I thought the season started kind of Oliver and Brady Bunch weird with Zava, and I was kind of like, eh. But really, the second half of the season was everything that you wanted. It'll be a movie, would be my guess. But really, they did a really good job this season. Emotional, well written, all those good things that you want to see out of your written scripted TV.
From Flair 11, top tailgating scenes you've experienced.
Well, Penn State, top of the list. Tennessee, NC State, Clemson.
Not the Stadium Series.
No, the Stadium Series
because nobody could get there.
I mean,
honestly, one of the top tailgating experiences for me was early on in the Canes run. It was the 0-2 conference finals with Toronto.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, that was all. I mean, that to me is where the whole tailgating shtick about the Canes began, and it truly made a difference. And that was an off the chart scene back in 0-2.
I have been told I really, really need to get to a game at LSU and Ole Miss. I have been to a game at Alabama, but I think Shula's kid was the coach, so they were not running hot when I went to a game in Alabama. It was still pretty cool. Yeah. But yeah, Wisconsin is also really cool too. I love Madison, Wisconsin. We tailgated in a zoo. Shout out to Al Kraft.
All right, and lastly from Zach, do you clean your grill grates off after you finish grilling, or do you wait until the next grill session? I always wait until the next grill session. I don't know if that's good or bad. I'm probably adding all levels of bacteria to the grill.
My mom is like worried we're getting cancer from wire brushes and all that. I'm supposed to use a lemon. I'm supposed to use an onion.
Oh, geez.
Listen, I don't know what's going on there. But if you know anything about me, when I cook, I clean like instantly. Like I clean the second I'm done with a pot. The second
really?
I'm done. Yeah,
I don't. I wait.
So yes, with the grill, I'll leave it on. I'll flame it up and scrub it off so that the next time, all I got to do is Pam it and move it along.
All right. And lastly from Craig, is this the best NC State related photo ever? It's David Thompson as a Jedi. Used to be in the Denver ESPN zone. RIP the ESPN zones. And yeah, that is Skywalker. That is an amazing mural. So goodness gracious. Wow. Okay. Okay, you know what, Craig? Now you've got me curious. Now I'm going to go down a rabbit hole to try and find where this art piece exists.
Okay,
like who got it? Who bought it off of eBay? That's what I want to know.
I'll tweet it out later now that I have permission again. But no, the best NC State photo ever was the one that Ethan Hyman got from NC State's loss to South Carolina in 2017 in Charlotte, and it was the stages of dejection and the one guy.
Oh, geez.
It is the best NC State photo ever taken.
We're moving on.
All right, I think we understand that this area is pretty ridiculous when it comes to home inventory, the buyer's market, and everything else. And Hometown Realty can help you out with not just residential, but commercial as well. Check them out online at myhtr.com.
Yeah, I have the tweet ready to go, Joe. Intern Tanner got our signed tweets that welcome My Hometown Realty to Bang Bang Joe Game. But Joe Gang. Yeah, check them out, though. myhtr.com, 919-550-7355. You got needs in Raleigh. I drove by the Garner office yesterday, Clayton, Selma, and also Atlantic Beach. They got more than 250 agents.
That's crazy.
So do not be fooled by this quaint little My Hometown. No.
With a 919 area code. Yeah.
Has got you covered. Go check them out, myhtr.com.
And shout out to Whitaker and Hamer. Check them out online, wh.lawyer. We got news during the course of today's recording, Joe. We're officially an LLC.
We are.
We are officially. Well, we have to sign some paperwork, but it finally went through, which means we actually can start up a bank account, which is kind of important.
It is.
But look, if you find yourself in a situation where you need some legal advice, you want to start things up, Whitaker and Hamer, one stop for all sorts of legal needs.
This is all I'm going to tell you. A Hometown Realty, right? They're smart. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
You can't be a company of that size. Do you know who they use? They do a lot of business with? Josh Whitaker and Joe Hamer.
Boom.
So go check them out. Again, www.wh.lawyer. We're going over there in Garner today to check them out, to have a Mojo reunion. I cannot wait.
I'm excited about this. I'll see if I can fit into an old 620 The Bull t-shirt. That's in the attic right now. Probably not.
Please don't. Bat for ratings is good. I like it.
Yeah, I'll keep the bat. I haven't even washed it yet. I mean, it clearly came in the bag, and it has a little bit of that new shirt smell to
smell.
it. Yeah, a little bit of that new shirt smell to it. So yeah, I'll just go ahead and rock this today. All right, we'll get out of here on this, Joe. R.I.P. the Cheez-It Bowl. I know that there was a lot of yeah. So the early season television schedule was released yesterday, and it was only interesting in the sense of what games are they going to try to put on the streaming services, and the new change of the deals. Look at that. Deion Sanders is now prime time. He's literally Coach Prime. Well, now they're going to put him in prime time situations because people have the curiosity of watching Colorado football with Deion Sanders. But there's also some changes in the bowl names. So the sponsors have changed. So the Cheez-It Bowl is gone. Long live the PopTart Bowl, Joe.
Oh, they could dump the mini Pop-Tarts.
No, I want full Pop-Tarts. Full Pop-Tarts.
You want the big Pop-Tarts?
Give me the big Pop-Tarts. So I decided to play
a waste of big Pop-Tarts.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So I thought we'd have a little bit of a game here to go down a Pop-Tart flavor rabbit hole.
Okay.
Because everything is off the charts. This is the Pop-Tarts website. You can now get frosted banana bread Pop-Tarts and Apple Jacks frosted Pop-Tarts, cinnamon flavor Pop-Tarts. Are you interested in those?
Both. Yes. 2 for 2.
See, for me, I was growing up Fat Joe. Back when I was, 235 and a size 40 pant. You see these bad boys right here? The chocolate fudge.
Fastball.
That's the fastball. Boom.
Yeah.
That's it right there. The chocolate fudge is the go-to. My second favorite go-to, if they still exist, was the s'mores. There it is. Dude, here's the thing about s'mores. You get the s'mores, heat them up, and then put some ice cream on top of it.
Wait a second. All of these Pop-Tarts are rated.
Yeah.
Wait, who doesn't like a Pop-Tart? Wait a second.
There's different flavors. There's different flavors, obviously. So now I'm curious. So the Simply Strawberry only has 4 stars.
Oh, man. Because it's not sugary enough.
I guess it's not sugary
Wait a minute.
enough.
What did the chocolate fudge, our favorite, get?
The chocolate fudge, I think, wait a minute. The chocolate fudge are only 3.7? Hold on a second.
What a shenanigans.
What is this? I need the ratings. All right. Oh, they actually have, oh, man. Buns.
Wait,
it's the worst Pop-Tart of all time. Love the chocolate fudge. Yeah, see, all it needs is vanilla ice cream. Yeah, that's what I've done in the past.
Yeah.
All right, I need more of the 1 stars. Give me more of the 1 stars. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can find the 1 star.
1 stars?
15. Now tastes like Red Hots. What?
No,
you just lost a 50-year customer. Bring it back. What? It's new horrible. It's crap. What? You know what? Now I feel like we have to go buy these chocolate fudge Pop-Tarts to see what happens. The new flavor.
Yep.
Maybe they changed the sugar content in it. I don't know. Maybe that's the case. Maybe that's what they did here. Wow. We learned something new today. The website has ratings for this. All right, Joe,
5 stars only.
5 stars only. All right, now it's time to play a little Q&A. Does this Pop-Tart exist?
Oh, okay.
The Pop-Tart pretzel sweet and salty breakfast toaster strudel.
No.
Incorrect. It does. You can get them at Sam's Club right now. You get the cinnamon sugar and chocolate pretzel.
You're right. Pretzel's a thing.
Pretzel. Hey, dude, pretzels with chocolate? I do it with Nutella all the time.
We're having a whole guest.
Is Ethan there?
You a big shout out. Yeah,
is Ethan there?
Yeah. Yep.
Awesome.
Come on.
Love that.
Not live.
Come on.
No, we're live. We are live to
Can't
tape,
let the
Ethan.
people down.
Come on now. We're going through Pop-Tarts. All right.
He can't hear you, so
it's fine. It's fine. Does an orange crush soda flavor Pop-Tart exist?
Orange crush soda Pop-Tart. Does that exist? I don't think it feels like something they would have the copyright to. So
it
yes.
absolutely does.
Yes. Yeah.
It does exist. This is from the Pop-Tarts Instagram account. All right. Next one. Does a watermelon flavor Pop-Tart exist?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, it does. This was like 386 weeks ago. They apparently come out in the summer. I guess it's like Cookout when they do their watermelon shakes.
Sure. I'm sure it's naturally flavored, Joe.
I'm not so sure I'm interested in trying that one. Yes, I'm sure it's very naturally flavored. All right. Root beer flavored Pop-Tart.
Yes.
Yep.
Branded A&W.
Branded A&W. Yes,
yeah.
That's a thing that actually existed. I don't know if I would be interested in that. All right. Let's see. What else do we have here? Maple and bacon. Is that one that exists?
It's a popular donut, but I don't think it's a Pop-Tart.
Incorrect. It is indeed a Pop-Tart. They've got the bacon flavor right up. Like, is it little bits of bacon on top of the
that's
Pop-Tart?
The bacon bits from the actual dog treats. Yes. Ay. Brutal.
All right, and let's see. Do we have another one here?
I can't believe you're not going to try to fake me with the fake ranch one.
What about vanilla latte?
Vanilla latte, sure.
Yes, they had a limited edition Dunkin' Donuts vanilla latte at one point in time.
Yeah.
And let's see, what else do we have here in terms of flavors? We have cookie dough.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course they do. They got the chocolate chip cookie dough. You know, it has 7 vitamins and minerals.
Sure it does.
Wait, are you saying there's a ranch one?
No, remember on the Twitters, they put one out and someone was like, would you try these? And they were fake.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm actually looking at the image here.
Yeah,
cool. Oh, God. Oh, no. No. Actually.
No. There is no subscriber number. No. And they don't exist.
I want them to exist. I want them to exist. All right, that's going to wrap it up for this edition of Ovies
Very
and Giglio.
eventful edition.
It really was. Look, folks, when I say I miss the spontaneity of radio, today provided. I feel whole again. Yesterday I felt whole because we did the show in person. Today I feel complete because we had some ridiculousness unfold in the middle of the recording. We will see you all next week. Enjoy your weekend.